Now let's learn motif 2. We will use the adjustable magic ring method, work counterclockwise. You'll need to switch colors during the process. Finally, work and join along the side. Please watch me demonstrate the specific crochet technique. Start by crocheting the first motif 2. Begin with an adjustable magic ring. After completing it, work the first round. First, make one chain as your beginning chain. When starting a round with single crochets, always make one beginning chain. I won't remind you of this again going forward. Crochet 8 single crochets into the magic ring. After completing them, pull the ring closed. Don't pull it too tight here. Finish with a slip stitch. If you can't tell where the very first stitch is, count the stitches from back to front. The first round is complete. We'll consider the side with clearer texture as the right side. Continue to crochet round 2. Work single crochets correspondingly into the single crochets from the previous round. Use 3 chain stitches as a bridge between them. Work the entire round. Finish with a slip stitch. The second round is complete. Since the working yarn will be used again after skipping one round, secure the loop with a stitch marker. Place it at the back for now, and set it aside. Move on to the third round. Take the corresponding yarn on the previous round. Join the yarn in the chain space on the right side of the yarn tail. Crochet 3 chain stitches. Work 4 double crochets in the same position. Then do 3 chain stitches and 1 slip stitch. The oval-shaped slip stitch can be not too tight. Continue with 1 chain stitch. Work 1 slip stitch in the next chain space. Place the loops from the previous round behind. We will treat the stitches we have crocheted so far as one group. Follow this group's pattern to complete the entire round. For the last slip stitch of the group, crochet it in the joining position. Then break the yarn. The third round is complete. Continue with the fourth round. Insert your hook into the loop from round 2. Work 1 single crochet in the slip stitch position of round 2. Pay attention that all the stitches from the previous round should be placed in front. Chain 5. Continue picking up the single crochet stitches from round 2 and work corresponding single crochets. Transition with 5 chain stitches in between. Complete this round. Note that as you crochet, insert your hook under the chain stitch from the previous round to work the single crochet stitch. After completing the last single crochet, chain 3. Work 1/2 double crochet into the starting single crochet stitch to join. The 4th round is completed. Continue with round 5. First, work 1 single crochet into the hole below. Chain 5. Work 1 single crochet into the chain space on the left side. Chain 5. Work 1 single crochet into the single crochet on the left. Chain 5. And work 1 single crochet. The single crochets worked in the same position along with the chains in between form the corner of this round. Now crochet the edging. That is, work single crochets into the 2 chain spaces on the left side. Work a single crochet in each of them. Both sides will have a chain of 5 as transition. Continue working the corners and sides in this manner to complete the round. After finishing the last corner, chain 2. Work a double crochet into the starting single crochet stitch to join. Round 5 is now completed. Next, work round 6. First, work 1 single crochet into each hole on the edge of the previous round. Work a single crochet in each one. Use a chain of 3 as a transition between them. After completing this section, chain 7. Work 1 single crochet into the starting single crochet stitch to join. Round 6 is now completed. Next, work round 7. First, work 1 single crochet into each hole on the edge of the previous round. Work a single crochet in each one. Use a chain of 3 as a transition between them. After completing this section, chain 7. Which will serve as the corner for this round. Repeat this pattern of sides and corners to finish the round. Note, skip the corners from the previous round without crocheting into them. For the last corner, start with a chain of 4. Then, work a double crochet into the starting single crochet stitch to join. Place a stitch marker and pause the crocheting. The 6th round is now completed. Next, we'll work on the 7th round. This round consists of 4 separate leaves. Start with the first leaf. Locate the corner position from the previous 2 rounds. Pick up the V-shaped loop to join the yarn. Chain 10. Return and start from the 3rd chain stitch from the end. Insert your hook into the back loop, which is the carried strand on the wrong side of the chain. Work 1 single crochet into the corresponding stitch. Work 1 half double crochet. Work 4 double crochets. Work 1 half double crochet. Finally, work the last single crochet into the back loop of the last chain stitch. Don't forget this step, then slip stitch at the joining position, and fasten off the yarn. The first leaf is now completed. Hide the yarn tail on the wrong side along the same color texture. Repeat the same method for the other leaves. Crochet in this kind of corner position. Everyone complete it. That's how we finish the 7th round. Next, let's move on to the 8th round. Insert your hook into the last loop of the 6th round. Chain 5. On the left side of the 6th round edge, pick up a single crochet and 3 chain spaces. Work 1 double crochet into each of them separately. Use 1 chain stitch as a transition. After completing, chain 5. On the right side of the leaf, slip stitch into the chain space of the 6th round corner. Chain 1. Keep the leaf in front. Slip stitch into the chain space of the 6th round on the left side. We'll treat the crocheted stitches as one group. Continue and crochet another group. Pay attention and don't make a mistake with the number of double crochets. Slip stitch into the chain spaces on both sides of the leaf, at the corner of the 6th round. Continue to work the entire round. The last slip stitch can be worked into the 6th round. On the connecting double crochet, complete the 8th round. Tidy up the fabric piece at this point. You can measure the edge length. Compare it with the dimensions given in the chart to prevent any mismatch in size when connecting later. Finally, work the 9th round. It needs to be connected to motif 1 for edging. Start on the left side of the chain stitch loop. Work a slip stitch to bring the yarn to the top. The number of slip stitches here is just for reference. Simply bring the yarn over. Then make 2 chains as beginning chains. This counts as 1/2 double crochet. Next, on the previous round's double crochet, correspondingly make single crochets. There are 5 chain stitches for transition on both sides. After completing, work 1/2 double crochet into the left 5 chain spaces. Work 1/2 double crochet in the 5 chain spaces on the left. Then continue with 4 chains. Below, at the tip of the leaf, pick up the chain space and make 1 single crochet there. Chain 2. Then find the stitch marker position for the edging of motif 1. Between these 2 stitch marker positions, ensure the fabric is right side facing up throughout. Insert the hook into the stitch marked by the stitch marker on the right side. Draw the loop through. Chain 3. Work 1 single crochet in the same space. The single crochet and chains worked in this space will form a corner. Join it to the marked position. For all subsequent corners, before working the chains, draw a loop from the corresponding position to connect. The method is similar to connecting the corners of motif 1. For the next edging position, chain 4. Connect the edging of motif 1 before the second chain stitch. The connection is at the 3rd stitch to the left of the previous join. After completing, work 1/2 double crochet in the 5 chain space. Work corresponding single crochets on the double crochets below. Both sides have a 5 chain transition. Before working the middle chains, connect the corresponding single crochet for the edging. Pay attention and refer to the pattern chart for the connection positions. After completing, work 1/2 double crochet in the 5 chain space on the left side. Work 1/2 double crochet. Chain 4. Connect at the 3rd chain stitch position. Mind the number of stitches in between. Check your work after finishing. We will treat the stitches behind the corner as the edge. Connect at the second chain stitch positions at both ends of the edge section. At the middle 5 chain position. Connect at the center 1 chain position. Refer to the chart for the number of stitches in between. Continue working the corner. Connect at the stitch marker position. This completes the connection of the edging with motif 1. Continue crocheting the edges and corners as usual. After completing the last corner, chain 4. Slip stitch into the beginning chain to fasten off the yarn. Pay attention to inserting the hook into the second chain from the bottom upwards. Tidy up a bit. This completes the crocheting and connection of the first motif 2. For the second motif 2, follow the same method to crochet it. In the last round, choose one side and the corners on both sides. And connect it to the first motif 2. At the already connected position. On the opposite side symmetrically. On this swatch, connect from the second corner. Similarly, insert into the corresponding corner spaces for connection. The side is also connected at the chain stitch. Insert into the corresponding chain spaces to connect. After completing all connections, finish crocheting this round as usual. Finally, join with a slip stitch, and cut the yarn. For the last motif 2, connect it using the same technique as for the second motif 2. This will form a long strip. Everyone, refer to the chart to complete it. That concludes the explanation of motif 2. Next, we'll learn how to crochet the edging for motif 2. Crochet around the connected motif 2. Watch as I demonstrate the exact crocheting method. Here, I'll use a sample swatch for the demonstration. Place motif 2 horizontally. Position motif 1 on the right side. Join the yarn at the marker position on the top. Crochet 1 chain stitch. Work 1 single crochet into the connection point on the left side. Crochet 2 single crochets into the corner hole. Work 3 single crochets into the first chain space on the edge. Crochet 2 single crochets into each of the 6 holes in the middle. Work 3 single crochets into the next chain space. Crochet 2 single crochets into the corner hole. Continue to follow the chart and work using the method shown here. Pay attention, there's no need to crochet at the connection point below the motif. For the last corner position on the long edge, start by working 2 single crochets. Check the number of single crochets on this side. Continue crocheting single crochets along the side. Note, begin the first single crochet in the same hole. Place a marker on the first stitch. Crochet 4 single crochets into the last 4 chain spaces. Work 2 single crochets at the corner position. Mark the ending single crochet. Crochet symmetrically along the other long side, as you did on this side. After completing, fasten off the yarn. Hide the yarn tail on the wrong side. This completes the edging for motif 2. Finally, secure the knots. Sew the collar to the front and back pieces. Please watch me demonstrate the specific making method. Start by securing the button. Cut a length of yarn tail at the slip stitch position, where motif 1 is edged. Sew 1 purl button at this corner. You can sew it a few times to have it secured. Finally, tie off the yarn tail. Hide it along the texture. Fasten it with the buttonhole. This way, the button is securely fixed. Next, sew the collar to the front and back pieces. Start by positioning everything correctly. Here, I'll demonstrate with a sample swatch. Please refer to your actual project for accuracy. The real sewing position is longer. You can use stitch markers to roughly hold it in place. Begin sewing from where it connects to the right front piece. Take the corresponding yarn. Cut a yarn tail a bit more than twice the length of the sewing position. Secure the yarn on the wrong side of motif 2's edging. Exit at the connection point on this side. Right through the middle of the stitch at the very bottom. Pay attention to confirm which edge the stitch marker belongs to. Then pick up the front piece's side edging, the back loop of the very bottom stitch. That is, the yarn closer to the wrong side of the stitch. Insert your hook. Draw through the back loop of the next stitch. On the other side, insert into the same position, where you exited before. Then exit through the back loop on the left side. Gently tighten. Then insert back into the previous exit point. Pick up the back loop of the next stitch and pull through. On the other side, insert and exit at the same position. Exit through the middle of the left stitch. After sewing a few stitches, slightly tighten. This will create the following effect. Pay attention to keeping the fabric piece flat. Avoid any shrinking or wrinkling. Repeat this process. Continue picking up the half stitches, and sew them together correspondingly. After sewing a few stitches, pull the yarn tight. When you reach the corner, note that you don't need to sew on this beginning chain stitch. Continue sewing along this side. Make sure to mark the stitch indicated by the stitch marker and don't skip it. Place a stitch marker on the remaining half stitch for marking. Follow this method to continue sewing downward. When you reach the other side, mark it in the same way. Pay attention to sewing the back collar tightly in the middle. Continue sewing downward. After finishing, pass the yarn tail to the wrong side. Tie a knot and hide it securely. This way, the front and back pieces and the collar are sewn together. Next, learn how to divide the front and back sections for the motif. There are 2 strips in total. Both start with the foundation chain method. Work back and forth in rows. After completion, sew them together with the front and back pieces and the side pieces. The new stitch technique used is the Pt3 bobble. The Pt3 bobble 2 tog. The cluster of Pt3 bobble and treble crochet. Please watch as I demonstrate the specific crochet method. Start with a foundation chain. You can make the chain stitches slightly loose. The swatch has fewer stitches for simplicity. The focus is on demonstrating the technique. After finishing, work the first row. Begin with 1 chain stitch as your starting chain. Return, start from the second to last chain stitch. Pick up the purl bump on the wrong side. Work single crochets into each stitch in sequence. After completing, you can check the stitch count. The first row is now complete. This creates a braid-like texture at the starting point. Continue with the second row. Begin with 4 chain stitches as your turning chain. Turn your work over. The beginning chain corresponds to the edge stitch. Skip 2 stitches on the left side. Work 1 Pt3 bobble. Start with 3 incomplete treble crochets. Yarn over twice. Insert into the corresponding stitch. Note that on the wrong side, the stitch is located at the top left. Draw the yarn through. Yarn over and draw through the first 2 loops. Repeat this step 2 more times. The first stitch is now complete. Work 1 more stitch in the same position. Yarn over twice. Insert the hook. Draw the yarn through. Yarn over and draw through the first 2 loops. Repeat this step 2 more times. The second stitch is now complete. Continue and work 1 more stitch. Yarn over and draw through all loops on the hook in once. The Pt3 bobble is now completed. Chain 5. Work a Pt3 bobble 2 tog. We'll call this the bobble stitch cluster. Moving forward. First, work 3 incomplete treble crochets in the previous insertion point. Skip 5 stitches on the left side. Work 3 incomplete treble crochets in this stitch. Finally, yarn over and draw through all loops on the hook. The bobble stitch cluster is now complete. The braid on the upper right is the resulting stitch. Continue with 5 more chain stitches. Work 5 chain stitches at the previous insertion point. Skip 5 stitches on the left side. Crochet a bobble stitch cluster. Finally, yarn over and draw through all loops on the hook. The bobble stitch cluster is now completed. Continue working corresponding bobble stitch clusters below. Chain 5 as a transition between them. Pay attention to the insertion point for the bobble stitch cluster. After completing the last 5 chain stitches, work a cluster with Pt2 bobble and treble crochet. First, work 3 incomplete treble crochets at the previous insertion point. Then skip 2 stitches. Work 1 incomplete treble crochet on the last stitch. Finally, yarn over and draw through all loops on the hook. The cluster with Pt2 bobble and treble crochet is now done. Row 2 is completed. Now move on to row 3. Start with 1 chain as your beginning chain. Turn your work. Work 1 single crochet into the edge stitch. Place the chain with the right side facing you. Pick up the top loop of the chain and the back ridge. Work 5 single crochets correspondingly. After completing, it will form a texture similar to the first row. Continue working single crochets into the bobble stitch cluster stitches. Proceed downward by working corresponding single crochets using this method. Complete this row. No need to work on the last beginning chain. You can check the stitch count. It should match the number of starting chains. You can smooth out the fabric piece. Compare it with the edges of the front and back pieces. The length should be roughly the same. If there's a significant difference, you'll need to adjust your tension and crochet again. This ensures the seam will look neat. After confirming it fits properly, leave a yarn tail about 1.5 times the length of the piece for sewing. Hide the starting yarn tail on the wrong side. That concludes the explanation of crocheting the front and back divided pieces. Next, we will sew the front and back divided pieces to the front and back panels and the side panel. Place the right side facing up. And align the starting chain with the corresponding edge of the front and back panels. Match the last row with the edge of the side panel. Start sewing with the reserved yarn tail, connecting the last row to the side panel's position. After completing this, take a new piece of yarn. There is a braid left at the starting chain here. The sewing technique is the same as the one used to sew the collar to the front and back panels. Pay attention to matching the number of stitches. Refer to the previous demonstration for guidance. Sew it together until completed. The other side should be symmetrical. That concludes the explanation of crocheting the front and back divided pieces. Next, we will learn how to make the waistband. It consists of two identical pieces. Both are crocheted back and forth using the foundation chain method. After completion, sew it together with the corresponding fabric piece. The new stitch technique used is Pt2 bobble 2 tog. Please watch as I demonstrate the specific crocheting method. Start by crocheting the beginning chain and the first row. The stitch pattern is similar to that of the corresponding position in the front and back divided pieces. Everyone, please complete this part. Next, we will crochet the second row. Begin with 3 chain stitches as the turning chain. Turn your work. Work 1 DC3 bobble stitch into the second single crochet stitch. Two chain stitches. Below, skip 2 stitches and work a DC3 bobble. In between, use 2 chain stitches as a transition. Finish this row. Work 1 double crochet at the end. The second row is now complete. We will consider the side with the clearer texture as the right side. Continue to crochet the third row. Start with 1 chain stitch as the beginning chain. Turn your work. Pick up the stitch and work a single crochet correspondingly. Work 2 chain stitches at the chain stitch position correspondingly. Finish this row using this method. Work 1 single crochet at the beginning chain position correspondingly. The third row is now complete. Move on to crochet the fourth row. Start with 4 chain stitches as the beginning chain. This counts as 1 treble crochet. Use 2 chain stitches for transition. Turn your work. Work 1 single crochet on the left stitch. Pay attention not to crochet into the single crochet corresponding to the beginning chain. Chain 4. Crochet 1 Tr2 bobble 2 tog. From now on, we'll call this Tr2 bobble cluster. First, work 2 incomplete treble crochets at the previous insertion point. Work 2 incomplete treble crochets on the second single crochet from the left. Finally, yarn over and draw through all loops once. The Pt2 bobble cluster is now done. Continue with 5 chain stitches. Work 1 single crochet in the same insertion point on the left. We will consider the stitches after the single crochet as one group. Repeat this group on the back side. Finish this row. Pay attention to the adjacent Pt2 bobble cluster. The insertion point should be in the same place. After completing the last group, chain 2. Work 1 treble crochet on the ending stitch. Row 4 is now completed. Continue with row 5. Chain 4 to start. Turn your work. On the previous row, at the Pt2 bobble cluster, on the chain stitch on the right, which means insert into this kind of hole here. Right here, where it's the cluster stitch. Work 1 Pt3 bobble. Then chain 5. In the same position, and on the left side. At the cluster formed by the chain stitch on the right, work 1 bobble stitch cluster. Then chain 5 again. Continue downward, corresponding with bobble stitch clusters. Use 5 chain stitches as a transition between them. Pay attention to the insertion point. After finishing the last 5 chain stitches, work 1 Pt3 bobble in the same position. Finally, work 1 treble crochet into the beginning chain. Make sure to find the 4th chain stitch for inserting and crocheting. The 5th row is now complete. For all subsequent rows, continue referring to the chart and work back and forth. In row 6 and the last row, use single crochet to pick up stitches from the stitch eyes and chain spaces. After completing, leave a yarn tail about twice the length of the fabric piece for sewing together. Everyone can now finish it. This concludes the tutorial for the belt fabric piece. Next, we will sew the belt. Start by sewing the belt onto the front piece. Here, I'll demonstrate with a small sample. The right side of the belt should face up. Align the beginning chain with the corresponding side of the front piece. The edges of the divided fabric piece match 6 stitches. The number of starting chains should correspond to the total stitch count on the side of the front piece. Take a new yarn and tie a knot on the wrong side. The sample has already had the yarn joined. Sew together using the previous method. When you reach the side of the divided fabric piece, roughly pick up strands along the edge for sewing. Roughly match the position of 6 stitches. Try to avoid leaving gaps at the fabric connection. If the corresponding stitch count is insufficient, you can slightly adjust it. Ensure that the stitch count matches afterward. If a large gap appears, you can pick up one more strand of yarn. Sew this side using this method. Finally, tie a knot and weave in the ends on the wrong side. Everyone can now complete it. Below, I'll demonstrate the sewing of the last row of the belt with the hem edging using a small sample. This is how you sew the belt to the hem edging. Thread the reserved yarn tail into a sewing needle. The sewing method is similar to what we did before. Pay attention here, pick up strands, but not half stitches. The purpose of picking up the stitch is to sew both strands of yarn together. Do the same on both sides by inserting into the stitch, then come out through the next stitch. After tightening the yarn, it will create a slightly raised effect. Sew this side following this method. Finally, tie off and weave in the ends. This is what the seam looks like when it's completed. Use the same method for the other side of the belt. Sew it to the entire side edge of the back piece. Pick up the back loops and sew them together. For the last row, sew it to the hem edging by picking up the stitches. The method is the same as the one used for sewing the front piece. Everyone can now complete this part. That concludes the explanation of the belt. Next, let's learn how to tie the belt. There are 2 in total. First, sew the side edges of the front and back side panels, and the side edges of the hem. Then, crochet back and forth to create the tie belt piece on the side of the waistband. Finally, crochet and sew the shrimp stitch edge. Secure a purl button at the end. Start by sewing the side edges of the knitted piece. Refer to the structure diagram, and leave space for the armholes. You can also compare it with the starting point of the sleeve to ensure accuracy. Adjust the height of the sleeve cap according to actual needs. Use a stitch marker to make the mark. Then sew together the corresponding positions of the underarm side panels. Here, use the row-to-row sewing method for sewing. When sewing, pay attention to slightly stitching the edge where the edging is crocheted as well. Make sure it fits tightly. For the specific sewing method, please refer to the video demonstration below. Next, learn how to connect row to row. We usually also use the invisible seam sewing technique. When sewing, pick up the horizontal strands along the edges of the 2 stitches. Let's first get to know the fabric piece. First, find the first stitch on the edge. The first stitch on the edge usually has 4 different situations. The first one is a slip stitch. That is, you pick it down following the texture without crocheting. This forms a large braid. The second type is also a slip stitch. However, when doing the slip stitch, it goes against the texture below. This creates a knot like this. The third type is working every row. Usually, you knit on the right side, and purl on the wrong side. This forms small braids like these. The fourth type is also working every row. But usually, you knit on both the right and wrong sides. This creates a ridged stitch pattern. The second stitch is to the left of the first stitch. For example, in this fabric piece, when looking from this side, the second stitch shows a knit texture. When viewed from the other side, the second stitch appears as a purl texture. Whether the second stitch is a knit texture or a purl texture, you can notice that the loops are all facing forward. These reversed loops, with their horizontal bars below, represent the horizontal strands between stitches. It's the same on this side as well. This is the reversed loop. This strand here is the horizontal strand between 2 stitches. The edge stitch in a rib pattern is also the same. This one right here is the second stitch. This entire column is the second stitch. A forward-facing loop. Between these two stitches, there's the reversed loop, and this single strand of yarn. It's the horizontal strand between two stitches. The edge is a slip stitch, likewise. Between these two stitches, there are also horizontal strands. No matter which kind, one strand of carried yarn roughly corresponds to one row. Before sewing, you can weave in the yarn tails on the wrong side and tie a knot to secure it. I won't hide the yarn here. For invisible sewing, alternate between the two fabric pieces each time by picking up the horizontal strands along the edges of two stitches. Then sew them together. Pick up 1 to 2 strands each time. Note that, if the row counts of the two pieces match, you can sew them together correspondingly stitch by stitch. This means picking up the same amount of strands each time. Always insert the needle from the position where you last pulled out. To pick up the horizontal strand. Here, I'm picking up 1 strand each time. After sewing a few stitches, slightly tighten the yarn. If the row counts of the two pieces are different, but you want to sew them together evenly, you can pick up more strands on the side with more rows. For example, in general, you pick up 1 strand each time. On the side with more rows, you can pick up 2 strands at appropriate positions. Here, the row counts of the two pieces are identical. I'll continue and finish sewing. This is the seamless sewing method for rows. Next, sew the hem edges together. The method is the same as the one used for sewing the side seams. Do it in the same way. Let's complete it. That concludes the explanation of side seam sewing. Next, we'll crochet the strap piece. Here, I'll demonstrate with a small sample. Start by crocheting the first row. When crocheting, keep the front piece facing you. Locate the starting chain position for the waistband. Insert the hook into the approximate corresponding position on both sides and join the yarn. Make 3 beginning chains as the turning chain. Then pick up the second row from the side edge. Work 1 double crochet. Pay attention to inserting the hook into the corresponding positions on both sides. 1 chain stitch and 1 double crochet. We will count these 3 stitches as 1 double crochet cluster. Next, continue crocheting 4 more double crochet clusters evenly. Finally, work 1 double crochet on the last row's side edge. That completes the first row. The side edge of the waistband is now connected. Continue with the second row. Start with 3 chain stitches as the turning chain. Turn the work. On the left double crochet of the cluster below. Work 1 double crochet cluster. Continue picking up the left double crochets of each cluster, and work 3 more double crochet clusters. Work 1 double crochet on the last stitch. Do not crochet into the turning chain. The second row is now complete. For the following 3rd to 4th rows, follow the method used for the second row, and refer to the chart while crocheting. Everyone can now finish it. For the last row, start with 3 chain stitches as the turning chain. Turn the work. On the left double crochets of the 2 clusters, work 1 double crochet decrease. The 5th row is now complete. Finally, fasten off and weave in the ends. This completes one strap piece. Move on to crocheting the shrimp braid. Reserve about 20 centimeters of yarn tail at both the beginning and ending. The exact length of the shrimp braid can be referenced from the chart. The specific crochet technique can be referenced in the following video demonstration. Below is a demonstration of the shrimp stitch crochet method. Start with a chain stitch. Crochet 2 chain stitches. Then insert the hook into the back loop of the first chain stitch. Yarn over. Draw the yarn through. Yarn over again. Pull the yarn through both loops on the hook. Keep the crochet hook steady. Turn the fabric piece below clockwise. Then, pick up 2 strands like this with the hook. Yarn over. Hook out. Yarn over again. Pull through the loops on your hook. Continue turning the fabric piece clockwise. Pick up 2 strands like this with the hook. Yarn over. Work a single crochet. Continue turning the fabric piece clockwise. Pick up the same 2 strands as before, and work a single crochet. Repeat this method for the following stitches. Turn the fabric piece clockwise. Then pick up the 2 vertical strands from the top left, and work a single crochet. When you reach the desired length, chain 1 to secure. Leave yarn tails. Break the yarn. If sewing is needed, leave a long yarn tail. This is the crocheting technique of shrimp stitch. After completing the shrimp stitch, sew one end to the pointed tip of the strap fabric piece below. Stitch a few times to secure it in place. Finally, tie off and weave in the ends neatly. Attach a purl button to the other end. And similarly, tie off and hide the tail securely. Complete it as described. This completes one strap. Make the other one using the same method. Crochet it on the opposite side. Pay attention when crocheting the strap fabric piece, and ensure the front piece is facing you during the process. Complete it as described. That concludes the tutorial for the straps. Next, we will learn about the cuffs. There are 2 of them. We will start with the foundation chain method. Crochet back and forth to complete the main body. Then crochet the top edging and bottom edging separately. After completion, sew the sleeve together. Then attach it to the cuff. Finally, secure the purl button. The new stitch used is the CH3SL picket. Please watch as I demonstrate the specific crochet technique. The stitch pattern for the main part of the cuff is similar to the belt. Pay attention, the second to last row is all double crochets. Everyone can follow the pattern chart to crochet. Do not cut the yarn at the end for now. Next, continue crocheting the top edging. Here, I will demonstrate using a sample swatch. Start with 1 chain as your beginning chain. Crochet 1 single crochet into the side of the last row of the main body. Crochet 1 single crochet on the turning chain of the next row. Make 1 CH3SL picket. First, make 3 chain stitches. Then pick up the front loop of the single crochet below. That is, the strand of yarn that is closest to you. And 1 strand from below. Work 1 slip stitch. Slightly tighten it. The CH3SL picket is now completed. We'll refer to this as a picket later. Continue referring to the pattern chart and work 3 single crochets along the edge. One picket. First, make 3 chain stitches. Then pick up the front loop of the single crochet below. And 1 strand from below. Work 1 slip stitch. The picket is now complete. Continue making a picket every 3 single crochets along the edge. Finish crocheting this side. After completing, fasten off and weave in the ends. This completes the edging for the top. Now, take another yarn to crochet the edging for the bottom. Pay attention. Make sure the clearer texture side of the top edging is facing up. Place it on the outside. Overlap the beginning and ending by 3 rows. Start with the beginning chain at the top. That's the side with the bobble stitches. Join the yarn on the right side of the overlapping area. Chain 1 to begin. Then work 4 single crochets evenly in the overlapping area. Continue down the side, crocheting single crochets evenly along the edge. After completing, check the stitch count. Finally, join with a slip stitch at the starting point to finish. Leave a yarn tail about twice the circumference of the piece, then cut the yarn. That completes the bottom edging. Next, let's move on to the sewing section. Before sewing the cuffs, you need to sew the side edges of the sleeves together. The method is the same as the one used for sewing the side edges of the panels. Please complete this step. After finishing, sew the beginning chain of the sleeve to the armhole position. Make sure to match the underarm sewing positions here. Match the middle of the starting chain with the corresponding sewing position on the side panel. Sew together according to the stitch and row method. For the specific method, please refer to the demonstration. If the stitches are in the bound-off state, you need to sew them together with the rows. On the stitch side, pick up the reversed braid. On the row side, pick up the horizontal strand. end. If there are more rows than stitches, adjust accordingly. At the appropriate position, pick up 2 horizontal strands at the same time. If you don't need to sew a braid effect, just pull the yarn tight. After the sleeves are sewn together, sew the cuffs at the bind-off point next. Place the sleeve seam underneath. Match the cuff opening with the back piece. The overlap of the left and right sleeves here is asymmetrical. The exact opening position can also be adjusted according to your preference. Then use the reserved yarn to pick up the stitches of the bottom edging. Sew it together with the braid below the sleeves bind-off point. Please watch the demonstration. Here, I'll demonstrate with a sample swatch. First, confirm the position. Start from the end of the thread. Pick up the chains below the sleeves bind-off like this. Sew them together corresponding to the edging stitches. The method is similar to the previous one. After sewing a small section, tighten the yarn. Sew the stitches correspondingly as you go. Do not sew the edge stitches, where the sleeve is inserted. Finally, come out from the slip stitch position of the edging. Make sure there are no gaps at the end. Bring the yarn tail to the wrong side. Tie a knot and hide it properly. This way, the cuff and sleeve are sewn together. Lastly, on the second to last row of the main part of the cuff, secure 3 purl buttons. Pay attention to align them with the positions of the chain spaces on the second row as much as possible. Everyone can now complete this part. Sew the other cuff using the same method. That concludes the explanation of the cuffs. Finally, let's learn how to make the lace trim. It includes the neckline lace trim and the hem lace trim. The neckline lace trim is worked on the small horizontal bars, formed after sewing the collar to the front and back pieces. Pick up the horizontal bars on one side of the collar and crochet back and forth. Please watch the demonstration. Start by crocheting the first row. Place motif 2 facing you. Begin from the side of the left front piece. Pick up the edges of motif 2. At the far right, join the yarn into one of the small horizontal bars. Then, starting from the joining position, pick up these small horizontal bars, and work corresponding single crochets. Note that you only need to crochet the horizontal bars on one side of motif 2. When you reach the corner position, don't forget to mark the double crochet decrease position with the stitch marker. Continue picking up the small horizontal bars on the side of motif 1, and work the edging. Pay attention not to crochet in the wrong place here. Note: there's no need to crochet into the turning chain at the right corner. After completing everything, you can check the stitch count. The exact number of stitches can be adjusted based on the flatness of the edging. The first row is done. Move on to the second row, start with 4 chain stitches. Turn the work. Work 1 single crochet into the third stitch. Chain 5. Skip 3 stitches, then work 1 single crochet. Chain 4. Skip 2 stitches, then work 1 single crochet. Alternate between skipping 3 stitches and 2 stitches for the following single crochets. For the position with 3 skipped stitches, chain 5 correspondingly. For the position with 2 skipped stitches, chain 4 correspondingly. Continue working downward. When you reach the corner, it should be at the position of 5 chain stitches. Here, you need to skip 5 stitches. This will make the lace trim fit well with the fabric. At the next corner, remember to skip 5 stitches as well. Continue to finish this row. Finally, work a single crochet with an interval of 3 stitches. If the interval doesn't match the chart, you can slightly adjust the spacing. Just make sure it fits nicely and looks good. The second row is done. Now, let's work on the third row. Start with 1 chain stitch. On the small horizontal bar of the left side belt after sewing, pick a suitable position and slip stitch. Just make sure the lace fits properly. Then, turn your work. Chain 2. Work 3 double crochets in the chain space. Use 2 chain stitches as a transition between them. Work 1 single crochet in the 4 chain space. Work 4 double crochets in the 5 chain space. Use 2 chain stitches as a transition between them. Repeat this process to finish the row. Work the last single crochet in the final space. Continue on the small horizontal bar of the waistband. Pick a suitable position and slip stitch. Then, break the yarn and weave in the ends. This completes the collar lace. Tidy it up, and make sure it's flat. Now let's learn how to crochet the hem border. Start at the beginning chain of the sewn together hem. Crochet in rounds counterclockwise. For the first round, pick up stitches evenly. Work single crochets into the chain spaces of the first row. Refer to the chart for the exact number of single crochets. You can also adjust based on the actual situation. Ensure the fabric piece stays flat. The total number of stitches should be a multiple of 7. Then, crochet the border in rounds. The crochet technique is similar to the collar border. However, this part is crocheted in rounds. Everyone refer to the pattern chart and complete it. Finally, break the yarn and weave in the ends. That concludes the explanation of the border. Up to this point, the entire piece has been fully explained. If you have any questions during the process, don't hesitate to reach us via our website, Susan's Family, supporting your handwork experience, sharing the joy of life. Thank you all for watching. See you in the next episode.